Global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello beautiful people, welcome back to Global Happenings Today YouTube channel. A lot of things are happening in Africa and in Nigeria in particular. As we are right now, well, everybody is waiting for PEPT verdict. All things have been done, dusted. But meanwhile, it doesn't stop Labour Party and their chieftains from reacting to what is going on. Remember, they are on their way to reclaiming back quote-unquote their stolen mandate. So while at it, they still are looking into the situations confronting Nigerians in Nigeria. As you speak, some of the top chieftains have decided to react to what Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing right now, not just to Niger, and the advices and counsel has gotten, and also they're also looking at the ministerial list. A lot is happening in that side, and they have decided to call out Bola Ahmed Tinubu over many issues pertaining to his ministerial list and his style of governance. Well, before we go into the news proper, kindly subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button beside it. You see a bell notification icon. Please go ahead, click on it to get notified as soon as you update our channel on YouTube. Okay, let's hit the ground running. I'm going to start with the first one. Well, Oseloka H. Obasi, one of the aides of the Labour Party presidential aspirant to Peter Gregory Obi, has reacted after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu reversed his statement of issuing a 7-day ultimatum to the military junta in Niger and subsequently chose peace over war. It will be recalled that the president, during an ECOWAS meeting a few days ago, had threatened the military junta in Niger Republic with military intervention. On Thursday, in a statement signed by his special advisor on media, Ajure Ngelale, the president withdrew the 7-day ultimatum and selected some delegates to go to Niger on a peace talk. Now, the Labour Party chieftain, while reacting, said that what the president did has shown that wise counsel prevailed over blister. He said that if the military had settled for military intervention, it would have been presented as a Vietnamese coup. And Nasser, let me use the word. Well, let me say the word for word. He said, look, finally it seems circumspection and wise counsel prevailed over bluster on Niger Republic, resulting in diplomacy instead of intervention. The latter would have presented a Vietnamese quima with whirlwinds ripping from Port of Sidra corridor to the Helcon coast of Badagry. If you ask me, that was wise counsel that he obeyed, because most Nigerians really didn't find it very funny. Of course, in another news, Labour Party chieftains and one of the legal team members have decided to react strongly over the choice and the way Bola Ahmed Tinubu is making his choices. He said, now a veteran Nollywood actor and the chieftain of the Labour Party, Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo, has claimed that the proposed ministerial list before the Senate is a blatant breach of the Federal Character Commission Act, stating it clearly that no state is allowed to have 3 ministers when all the states in the country have not gotten 2 ministers. Also, that no geopolitical zone is allowed to have 2 ministers than any other geopolitical zone. Now, Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo made this disclosure some few hours ago, thereby urging the senators to try and be reading the laws they made for peace, order, and good governance in the country. In addition, the Labour Party chieftain described the APC-led government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the most tribalistic and nepotistic regime in the whole world, noting that we are very far from democracy and rule of law under the present administration led by the APC. Let me read word for word what he said. He said, look, the proposed ministerial list before the Senate is a blatant breach of the Federal Character Principle Commission Act. No state is allowed to have 3 ministers when all the states have not gotten 2, and no geopolitical zone is allowed to have 2 more than any other geopolitical zone. Now, the Senate should be reading the laws it made for the peace, order, and good governance of Nigeria to be properly guided in its screening exercise. This is the most tribalistic and nepotistic regime in the whole world. We are far from democracy and rule of law in this regime. Now, it should be recalled that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu recently sent his ministerial list to the Senate for confirmation, and according to what was seen on the list, some states have 2 or more ministerial nominees, while some other states have just 1. Based on that note, some Nigerians have been calling on the president to do justice to that, so as to make sure that the federal character principle is respected for the sake of peace and unity of the country. Now, a lot of Nigerians have been reacting to this, but before we look at what Nigerians are saying literally, some few hours ago as well, Miiti Allah had actually begged Bola Ahmed Tinubu, say, look, we have noticed that in your dispensation, we are not seeing even crumbs, so we are not seeing our men, our boys there. Even if you want us to become sweepers in Aso Rock, we are willing. We don't mind just appoint us to be sweeping Aso Rock. But at least let us also be at the corridor of power. This is coming from ETLA, really. And they're saying that Bola Ahmed Tinubu should not forget that they also, when he came canvassing for their votes, they also voted for him. They prayed for him, and they canvassed for him. They lobbied for him. And now that he's on seat, he's forgetting about them. That you should also not let them go when it comes to the issue. You should also remember them in the issue of funding for their stock, their animal stock, and their wildlife preservation, and their cattle. They need a place. They shouldn't forget them in all of the country's issues. If you ask me, it's okay, everybody have their own issues, but we need to look at the federal issue more urgently. Let's feel the pulse of Nigerians over this very quickly. This way I said, please, how does this matter concern Kenneth Okonkwo of Labour Party? He's a Nigerian, my brother. If it doesn't concern you if you're not a Nigerian, or if you're in Nigeria, he concerns him because whatever he does, or whatever the president... Look, we feel that when we ask the president to look at... It's not condemnation, especially if it is done constructively. Maybe it's an oversight. That's the beauty of democracy. You can always criticize constructively if you feel that it's not going well. Look, if you feel because it's your turn, or because it's your brother, or because you benefit from it, and this becomes a norm. Remember this issue of always gathering your people, your region to one place, all began and became very pronounced in the time of the former president of Niger, Buhari. It is now almost being magnified now. And they're saying, look, can we, in all honesty, shift from that norm? It's not good. It's not healthy for the democracy of Nigeria. It's not good. It's not healthy for the people, because after a while, people will begin to vote in tribal lines. So, okay, now that Yoruba have taken, Hausa have taken, it's time for next thing, or they can even start coming home from all diasporans to vote for their own person, so that it is their own time to eat from national moment. And that's not how we should be. We should be first Nigerians before we are tribal. We should first be called Nigerian before we begin to say, okay, I am Nigeria from Ogun State, or I'm Nigeria from Taraba State, or I'm Nigeria from Rivers State. But it should be Nigerian first before you mention your state. Guess what? When you present your green passport in international airport, or you present your green passport in any embassy of the world, they don't see Igbo first, they don't see Yoruba first, they don't see Hausa first, they don't see Shekiri first, they don't see Stevie first, they don't even see Benue. What they see is Nigerian. It is now we in Nigeria that will say, okay, this is Nigeria from Southwest. So can we not do, when it comes to the issue of governance, can we also not do this against ourselves? Let's also toe the line of federal character so that we grow together. That's what we're going to wrap it up. Let's put in our conversation. What's the thing? Have a nice day.